Brian White, do you think there's a chance that we could have a Cybertruck revival? I mean,
A
it's been declared dead.
renaissance.
It's been declared dead.
Well, I think more likely than a renaissance would be a cubism. No, it's types of art joke. Hey, Cybertruck sales are, in my opinion, disappointing. Getting 30 plus thousand out the first year, down to 20,000 the second year. These are not the numbers Tesla was looking for. And we know because the line capacity is 250,000. Were they expecting the full 250? Maybe, maybe. But running at a tenth of capacity is not a good uh, not a good use of resource. The line is really wants to stretch its legs. Could we see more sales? Yes. Yes, we could. And there's a handful of ways we could do it. I'd say the biggest two would just be price cut and export.
Okay, so let's look at price cut. What do you think could happen in the price cut division?
It's a real chicken and egg, isn't it? It's a cart before the horse kind of thing. You got to increase volume to lower the cost, and you got to lower the cost to increase the volume. Do you get out ahead of it and lose money hoping? I'm confident they know their metrics. They know they've analyzed the market data to know how much cost reduction could be realized by increasing volume and has decided that it is not enough, that the cost cuts would not achieve the desired volume. So, how do you do cost cuts without a complete redesign? I don't know. I don't know on that. But I will tell you that at 80,000 with no subsidies, that's too much for many buyers. And I see a lot of Tesla people argue about value over cost, and
Mhm.
there is merit to that. Specifically Sawyer merit. No, I'm kidding on that. But no, there is value to that discussion. This truck is worth 80,000. That's great, but only to people who have 80,000. You can't make people have 80,000. They wish they could too. The lower cost increases the addressable market. We just know that. We've seen the curve and we know how it goes. So where's the sweet spot? My guess is 50, 55,000, but dropping 30 grand off the price of the truck is really difficult. And I'm confident that would put them upside down on sales uh, and cause a lot of second order problems as well.
So this one just occurred to me because I've suggested it in the Elon Musk mission on an $80,000 vehicle and one that you know is going to last for a very long time. What would be wrong with having a 10-year loan?
Mm,
That would lower the monthly, and
sure.
that's what most people are concerned about.
Well, I think uh, I just don't think it would move the market that much. I mean, you can't you get a 10-year loan already?
I don't
Does
know. I think seven is about the top I've seen. I haven't seen anybody offering 10 years yet.
Yeah. Well, when the federal credit was available, but not a point of sale credit, it was still a deterrent to many buyers because the money's not here today. Today is when I buy the car. Today is when I want to have the discount, not eventually. And if it happens, next year, if you buy it in January, you're not getting the rebate until April of the following year.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
lot of people aren't going to just take it and pay down their loan with it. They're going to spend it on something else. Now they've got a higher car payment and they didn't, and the payment would stay higher even if you use it to prepay the loan a bit.
Right.
So I think that that's a buyer question, not a seller question. And I don't think buyer questions like that resolve, for that matter, a lot of people believe their Ram or Silverado will last 10 years. Why don't they just get more gas truck, more diesel truck on for less payment
Mhm.
on the same scheme? I don't think the financing is the problem. I think the cost is the problem.
Okay, so Korea has just started importing the Cybertrucks. You just mentioned export as a possible way to get the numbers up. So if we can get
Yeah.
the numbers up through export, then maybe we get, as you pointed out a minute ago, that would drive the cost down, which might allow even to go to 75,000 might be a benefit. Anyway, talk to me about export.
75 strikes me as doable. Can't you increase the volume just a little bit to get to 75? Every $5,000 increment is huge in terms of addressable market. Cybertruck, Randy, it's so dumb, it'll never be sold. Okay, so we're past that. It'll never be sold outside of the US. Canada and Mexico seem to disagree. It'll never be sold outside of North America. Well, we've got Korea and China. So, what's the problem? I think the big market, one big pickup market is Australia.
Yeah.
Can we get a right-hand drive version?
Mm.
Why not? It seems like the sort of thing Tesla would be able to engineer reasonably quickly and affordably. And then that would open up other right-hand drive markets. There are a lot of countries in the world that have right-hand drive, but the biggest for pickups, at least, would be Australia and perhaps New Zealand. The UK does not seem terribly keen on approving this vehicle anytime soon. In China, they put little edge bumpers on it to make the corners soft enough, I guess, uh, less ragged, perhaps. Fine. If that's how you want to approach the solution, go for it. The problem is the US is a very big truck market, and most other countries don't have a pickup truck market, and those that do have a much, much smaller pickup truck market. Could exports be enough to afford an economy of scale? I'm inclined to doubt it, but maybe,
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe.
1,000 here, 1,000 there. It all adds up.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
especially if you're starting from a basis of 20,000 annually, adding another 1,000 is kind of a big deal.
yeah. Another thought that I had was that Elon is not involved in politics right now, at least not like out there involved. He's still involved on X, but he's not like showing up in public situations and making a lot of noise. So if Elon derangement syndrome, EDS, might be backing off a little bit, might that make some buyers who were reluctant to buy, who love the vehicle, maybe now they'll be more interested in getting in the game?
We are, I am confident, well past peak hate. Peak hate to me struck less than a year ago. I'd say February-ish, maybe January, February. That's when things were the craziest. I would caution about using phrases like Elon derangement syndrome because people have very closely held beliefs. And I think if someone were to refer to your beliefs as Jesus derangement syndrome, you would take that deeply personally and find it offensive when it would shut down a discussion that could otherwise happen. So that's just something to be kind of careful with because it comes across as a bit dismissive. I understand that if you were personally laid off by the Doge cuts, that you would probably not want to buy a Tesla. And I don't think that makes you deranged. I think that makes you capable of memory, which is reasonable for that individual. Uh, the peak hate is past. His political involvement, he'll still, I assume, make comments on X. He's still funding political action committees, but quietly. That's the key. He's not the one putting his face on difficult decisions that directly impact people's lives. I think that helps. And I don't know if you know this, Randy, but when it comes to consumers have a pretty short memory. Dieselgate was all but forgotten within like a year.
Yeah.
And Dieselgate was kind of a big deal. Not everyone cares about the emissions as much as others, but a lot of people who don't care about the emissions care that they were cheated. You were selling me something that I agreed to and not giving it to me. I don't care for that. You were cheating your competitors. You were cheating everything. But you know what? I did get them to buy it back, and I kind of like that new Passat. Short memories. So I think that a lot of it has passed. When it comes to, I've heard of people saying, I wouldn't drive my Model Y into the city. I'm afraid. I say, grow up. You should not be afraid to drive the world's most popular car in a city that I guarantee you is 5 to 10% Model Ys already. If you were going to be angry at every Model Y, it would be a nonstop job. It would be like playing slug bug in Mexico in the 90s. You would have a pretty sore shoulder. So I think that that is ridiculous. I have never experienced any kind of negativity in a Model 3 or a Model Y in any city, anywhere, ever. Cybertruck is a little bit more visible. I don't know if you've noticed this because they're very subtle vehicles, but when you see a Cybertruck in the wild, they kind of stand out. They're noticeable. It's weird, but I think that makes them a lot easier to hate. When I was at the Cyberfest and Furious in Tampa a week or two ago, a couple weeks ago now, there were people saying, no, the peak hate is over. I mean, I still get flipped off once a day, but and I was like, that's too much, my friend. That's too much. I would not personally be delighted and interested to drive a vehicle that attracts that much hate. But apparently it used to be more than once a day.
Right, yeah.
So at the rate of deceleration, it should stop within a year. If the Cybertruck no longer has that stigma attached, I could see it selling better. But I don't know if I'd say only half of the stigma is rich man bad. I'd say the other half is specific to the vehicle. The original Hummer 2, there was no political reason not to like it, but people just had a preconceived notion about the kind of person that would buy and own that vehicle. And weirdly, it hasn't followed to the electric Hummer. So I don't know. Maybe it's the kind of buyers it attracts. So there is an emotional disconnect. I do think it is getting better. I don't know when it will get better enough. I know if I was an owner of a business looking to generate business, I don't think I would want a vehicle that is going to make a sizable percentage of my customers dislike or distrust me out of the gate.
So then I have this theory that I, as an owner, a product guy my whole life, that if my product had this perceived negative that I couldn't overcome in the short term, that I might not be promoting it, pushing it, trying to come up with ways to overcome that. I would be maybe potentially waiting for this to settle down before I went out and pushed it again. So during this interim time, Tesla's had plenty of time to, by the way, fix the car because it's had, I don't know, 712 recalls. But I don't fault them for that. It was a completely new vehicle in so many ways, so it's not terribly surprising. But they've had time to fix those situations. They've had time to strategize. They've had time to potentially make improvements that could be maybe in the next iteration. So maybe there'll be a time this year, early next year, when it will be time to kind of reintroduce it.
Mm. I don't know how you reintroduce something that is so distinct. It's got a particular look. And yeah, when you're talking about things settling down, I've been telling you to settle down for years, Randy. Settle down, Kirk. But I think that, yeah, I don't know on that front. There, it's not like a normal car where you can make a couple of tweaks. I don't know what tweaks you make. Do you replace the stainless steel with like the kind of composite material we're looking at for Cybercab? That would drop the weight significantly. That would give you a whole new aesthetic. You could round the edges if that's really what makes you happy, I guess. But I don't know on that. I don't know. There are, yeah, it's unfortunate, but yeah, that's all I got.
Okay, we have still have a very long list of reservations. I know that I have my reservations still in place. I don't know. Do you have reservations in place?
I have reservations about you, but I don't have a Cybertruck reservation.
I know Brian Wang has, I think, multiple. I know CERN Basher just confirmed the other day that he still has
74. Doesn't he
70,
have
something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, he had reserved 75 and he took delivery of one. And I said, CERN, What are you doing, buddy? That's a lot of money tied up in nothing.
Well, that then raises the issue that why do you think CERN Basher and Brian Wang had multiple reservations?
Because it was going to go into the cyber taxi network, the
Yeah,
robo taxi network, and go out and make money on day one, 3, 4, 5 years ago.
right. So if and when, maybe even this month, all of a sudden it becomes a thing, or, I'm sorry, it won't become a thing that you can put your car into the robotaxi network, but if we at least get to the robotaxi be the whole thing being a thing with no safety riders, et cetera, and then maybe say 6 months from now, we do get the Airbnb version, as Elon likes to
Mm-hmm.
call it. Wouldn't that stimulate robotaxi sales? Because now you just a matter of depreciating or analyzing your cost of per mile in terms of how much you spent for it. So the spend is not as big a deal.
Sure. I would love to have that fleet, but I would not put a Cybertruck in it because a Cybertruck costs twice as much as a three, little under twice as much as a Y. Why wouldn't I put a three or Y on the network instead for substantially less money? The people like CERN and Brian and Ryan from the Kilowatts, who had dozens of reservations. The idea was they were going to be $39,000. It was going to be the cheapest Tesla ever made and the most capable and a robo taxi. They're not the cheapest anymore. And I would say that if I was to deploy the ultimate flexible vehicle, I'd go with the Model Y. If the Cyber Cab is available, I'd go with those because they're so much cheaper and they're half the price and have more than half the utility. They have 80, 90% of the utility at half the price. I would not I would not personally be putting Cybertrucks into the fleet.
So for those who might, I can think of a couple of reasons why. Number one would be utility, because there are certain utility aspects to having a truck that you could rent as you would a Cybertruck. It might be better for the Uber for an Uber delivery system, if you will. But the third one I think is the most important one, just the kind of the again, I'll use Uber Black thing. So I'm going to pay more if a ride in a Model Y or a Cyber Cab is $1.20 a mile. I think I'm willing to pay $2 a mile to get this crazy, wild and crazy vehicle. And it's right there on the list. How much, just like it is with Uber Black, I can choose that, and maybe the margins are actually better on a Cybertruck.
Is that why Gary Black likes Uber so much? He thinks that the premium feature is called Gary Black. So I don't, I mean, great, go for it. I'm not going to pay double, triple the electric rate. I'm not going to pay 2, 3 times as much for tires for a car that might make me a little more sometimes. Maybe 1 out of 20 vehicles could be something like that. But then you run into the question of, are there enough of them out there that people could actually get the ride when they want it? Yeah, you could get a Cybertruck. Yeah, it's going to cost twice as much per mile and it's going to be 20 minutes later. And it's got to travel that much farther to get to the rider. I, from a business perspective, I don't think it would make sense, but I haven't studied the market enough. I think people like Ryan from the Kilowatts and CERN Basher would have a better opportunity to study the market as it's developing. And who knows, what works day one might not work a year later and vice versa. But I
Okay.
don't think we would see a flood of people. I don't think we would see a new wave of buyers picking up Cybertrucks just to put them into the Robotaxi network.
All right, here's my strongest one. I kept the strongest for
Oh,
last. Okay. And that would be unsupervised. So I believe that unsupervised is maybe the greatest feature that's ever been offered on a car to make the car better than it was. Maybe some people could argue that rubber tires were a better feature compared to the tires that went before. Some people are arguing that an electric ignition was better than a crank, and that was a pretty darn good feature. Air conditioning could even come up to some people's mind. I can remember the transition in the early 60s, I think, to vehicles that had air conditioning, it became like a no-brainer to buy a car with air conditioning if you had the scratch to do it. I still think this is the best. I think this is a greater improvement than any one of those. So if you can now get a truck, and it's the only truck that has unsupervised self-driving, is that going to be enough to generate more sales?
Well, I will take issue that it's the best invention ever. Clearly, the tape deck that you can remove and slide all the way out is a much better invention. But we'll agree to disagree because that's making me feel old and probably making you feel young. But there are, there's a bunch of debate on those things. I think we've discussed it. And laminated safety glass. Big deal. That was a big, big deal. Henry Ford's buddy was the crash test dummy who died in that exact situation. Unsupervised is going to change everything. And for the Cybertruck, what it could change is work. We need to have a thing moved to the work site, and we need it right now. Do we really want to peel off one of the carpenters or the plumbers or the electricians who are worth 40, 50 bucks an hour to go pick this up in the time it takes to pick it up and bring it back? And all it has to do is pull up to the parking in front of the Pro Desk at Home Depot.
Yep.
And the app will notify them it's install 7. Jump it in the back, away you go. That paid for your 1 month of FST. That one delivery. Businesses will not see it that way because they will say, well, I would have paid someone. Look, okay, then do a second delivery and now it's paid for. Happy. So I don't think unsupervised is going to be that big in terms of moving Cybertruck units. I think unsupervised will move all Tesla units, some of which happen to be Cybertrucks. If we get to a point where it's unsupervised, where everyone wants it, so Randy, I think you just nailed it. Here's why. If it's unsupervised, we're going to go all out, produce every unit you can, they're all going to be sold. Which line has the most room to expand?
Cybertruck.
Cybertruck, we can increase it by 220,000. We're talking 20,000. We're talking 1,000 units a day almost of increased available units. I don't want a Cybertruck, but I really want unsupervised. And this one's ready. Let's go.
I can get this one. Yeah, that's right. Interesting.
You solved it. You solved it. It took some
solved
gentle. Yeah, please. You think my psychiatrist solved my mental issues? No, she just kept asking me questions until I figured out the deep-seated issues within me.
Yes. Well, there is brainstorming, and then there is brainstorming. So maybe that's what your therapist was dealing with. I'm not sure.
Sure.
Yes. But the brainstorm in this case came up with a final solution. Well, now you can't use that.
I don't recommend it.
It's too soon, right?
I don't recommend it.
If we came up with something that might look like enough of a volume increase to get the cost down, which would get the volume up.
If the demand is infinite for the product and the supply is not, we're going to take the thing that we don't want because we need it.
Right. All right, Brian, any last thoughts on Cybertruck, or have we exhausted? No, there's no.
I didn't have any first thoughts, Randy. You had to really extract them from me, and you did a good job.
All right. Let's see. It's Tuesday. There is no more special on the Cybertruck. If you want to buy the Cybertruck Bottle Opener, you're going to have to pay full price. 25 for 1, 45 for 2, 65 for 3, 80 for 4. I think it says in the description 85. You can pay either one. If you remember, you can. If I remember to change it to 80, we'll see what happens. Okay, that's all I got right. I should at least mention the book.
Oh yeah,
we have this book we're selling, AI Rising. And should they buy it?
Only if you want to be smart. Only if you want the people around you to be smart. But everybody else, I don't think it's for them.
Yeah, yeah. And the 399 is going to be a big barrier. That's $3.99 for the Kindle version. That will be a big barrier for many of you,
Wow.
not my audience, maybe in your audience.
Maybe, maybe.
All right, that's all we got for right now. It has been great. Thank you, Brian, for coming. Oh, you know what? I haven't done this for a while. I get confused. I'm old. I don't have
Hmm.
memory anymore. And I should absolutely say, follow him. Follow him on his channel. Follow him on X. Follow him by running around the country to Chattanooga and all these other odd places that he goes, looking for fun and games with other Tesla owners. Follow him. Just follow him. Yeah. Even sign up for Patreon and send him $1 a month or $2 a month or $4 a month. He doesn't care. He'll
I'll
take it.
take it.
He's like,
Yeah.
hey, about. All right. Now I think we're done.
All right.
All right. It's been great talking to you.